2 weeks ago, I just turned 22 years old. I've been living on this planet for 22 years now, and it's an exciting place to be right now. It's an exciting place to live on this planet where there are a lot of things going on. And one of the things that I realized when I turned 22 years old was that your perspective starts to change every single time, of course, you get older. You start to see the world from a different perspective, from a different angle. And you start to change your outlook on life a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because from my first year, you can say, to my 22nd year on this planet, I've always thought that life was just this simple one-dimensional pattern of behavior that you start somewhere, which is basically true, of course, but then you want something, you go towards a destination, some goal that you want or that you need. That is what life always has to offer. When in reality in itself is way more complicated than just following one path from where you started to where you want to go. It's a way more complicated process that you have to go through in order to get the things that you want or need, because wanting and needing is, of course, also two different things. So one of the things that I realized is that in life in general, you can never master anything. Like, you can, of course, become very good at a certain subject, at a certain topic, at a certain field, at a certain industry. Of course, I'm not denying that. You can put the 10,000 hours of work in and literally like master the thing that you want to master. So I'm going to give you an example. For example, let's say you want to write like I do. Like, I have a Substack page and I write not really much anymore, but I want to like become better at writing and the things that I do generally because I like writing. Every single time I write, I'm like in this flow state and just words just come to me. And the only thing I need to do is just to make a sentence out of the words that are just coming to me. I don't even have to think when I'm writing. It's just automatically like it happens. I don't know if something's genetic or it's just something that I like very much, that I get into such a flow state that just words just come to me. And the only thing, once again, I need to do is just to put them in the correct sentence. But let's say, once again, you want to pursue writing. You want to literally become like a very good writer. You don't want to like, I'm not saying you're going to become like a next level Dostoevsky or like Nietzsche or whatever, but you just want to pursue writing because it's just one of your passions and you really like to do that. So what you do is you put the 10,000 hours of work in because you see where you started and you see where you want to go. You see kind of like that one-dimensional pattern of behavior that you need to develop in order to get the thing that you want. So once again, you start to put the 10,000 hours of work in, you start to put years and years and years into practice, into writing, and what happens? You bring out your first book, and for example, let's say it's a success story and it sells pretty good. So you get a lot of sales and a lot of people like love your book and they want more. So you start to write on the second book, whatever. But the problem here is that the thought pattern that I want to like express here is that you have not mastered writing. You have not mastered the thing that you thought you had mastered in the first place. Because you have sold a lot of books, and because you have sold maybe your second book a lot more copies than your first book, whatever example you want to give, you have not mastered writing. And the reason for that is because you have mastered your level where you're at writing. The next level, you have not yet mastered, because in order to go to the next level, you have to pretty much like suck at the next level in order to get the thing that you want. And of course, we as human beings, we don't like to do that. So we think that we have made it, but we have only made it on the level that we're at. We have not made it on this because there are so many different levels to this game that it's not even, to be honest, for me it's funny, but for a lot of people it's not funny. It's like this constant pursuit of more, this constant pursuit of improvement, of better, of self-actualization work, or whatever you want to call it, is this constant development of stages of where you want to go. So once again, you think you've sold 1,000 copies of your book and you think you've made it in life, which in general, like, that's fantastic. Like, I think you're in the top 1% of people. But there is another level above you that you have not even reached for because you're comfortable at this place, because you're at the top 1% of this place. But when you go deeper into the work, when you go deeper into the 20, 30, 40,000 hours of work into your craft, you start to move up to the levels. And what do I mean by this? Why am I saying this? Why am I even giving this example? It's the reason because in order to get the thing that you want, it's this constant, never-ending cycle of improvement that you have to make till you die. And of course, a lot of people may criticize me for this video, and of course they can, and I love to have a conversation or discussion in the comments why some people agree or some people disagree. And the reason why I say this is because in life, you will never master anything because there's always one level ahead of you. Now, of course, you can ask the question, okay, but so what? Like, what if there is another level above me and I've already I've made it and I'm living a pretty comfortable life, and I'm paying my bills, and I've got money, I've got this. Of course, it's a fair point to make. It's a very good argument to make. And the thing that I want to like say to that is that that's a very good way to live. Like that's a very good way to live. But it does not go away from the fact that what you have achieved, you can achieve a lot more. But you are not seeing it because your consciousness or your subconscious mind, your mind in general, is stuck on this level. You think you've made it, which is true because you've made it on this level, but you have not made it on the other levels. Because if you move one ladder up and you're competing with even higher riders, whatever, you pretty much have to start from like the bottom 80%, you can say, and move your way up to the top 20% and up to the top 1% again. And that takes a lot of time. That takes maybe even more than 10,000 hours putting into the work. So my point here is that life in general, from what I've seen as a 22-year-old, I want to say 21, I think I'm still 21 years old, I just turned 22. But from a 22-year-old perspective, is that life in itself is this never-ending cycle of pursuits. But I also have an opinion that it says that that's what makes it fun. That is what makes life exciting. That is what makes you pursue something more. If everybody said, once again, I've made this analogy a lot of times in my previous videos, I said, you know what? We have enough. Like society is good as it is. Everybody's living comfortably. I'm just gonna stop working because why would I even work? I mean, we have enough. Like we have enough food, we have enough water, we have enough shelter, we have enough this and that. Even we can even get deeper into that topic and we can say, of course, that's also not the case. But let's say in hypothetical that is the case in a world where we fantasize about, let's say that, yeah, we have enough and the only thing we need to do is just chill down a little bit and just relax and just don't work hard as you used to anymore. The problem with that is that when you stop doing that, not only like our intellectual domains and the physical domains of life start to degrade, but your technological innovations start to degrade. Your society in itself start to become lazy. Your entire social economic system start to become dependent, not on the work weeks, you can say, not on like the hours you put in, but on the hours you can say you relax, because you're not putting the work in as you used to. And that basically sucks. Like that is not a really good society to live in. Of course, it's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. But it's this continuous pursuit, that's my point, it's this continuous pursuit that is what makes life fun. That is what causes us to grow as a society. That is what causes us to go beyond the perceived limits that we have for ourselves. It causes us to go beyond our physical limits, our intellectual domains of life. It causes us to have crazy technological innovations. It causes us to go to the moon and back and just discover space in general. It causes us to discover new laws in physics and all of that stuff. It's this never-ending cycle of pursuit of improvement that causes that, right? You never master anything. Once again, you never master the art, the thing that you're trying to master, the skill, the subject, the degree that you're trying to get. Of course, you can become very, very skilled at it, but there's always more to learn. And that is, once again, my friend, that is what makes it exciting. Now you can ask the question, okay, but it's fun and stuff to think about this in a philosophical term where we can basically make a hypothetical and we can then analyze and say, okay, this is what happens when we basically stop working, and this is what happens when life is a continuous process of never-ending improvement. What is the conclusion? Like, what can we do about it? What can you do about it? What can I do about it? For the people that are watching, maybe resonate with this, is that because of this, we have this never-ending desire to become better. Why is that good? Why am I for that? It's because you then reach new limits of yourself that you thought were impossible. I'm gonna give you an example. It's a very quick example. As you guys know, I've been preparing for a half a marathon for the longest. I've been like uploading video back to back of day 21, day 22, day 23, preparing for a half marathon, day 24, whatever. I've been preparing for a half a marathon. And the reason why I did that is because, first of all, back when I started running in 2025, it was around like March, April, my friend got me into it. And he said to me, you know what? You should start running, because it's just something different than the gym. Like, I've been going to the gym for like 3 to 4 years now, and I thought it was pretty boring. I've been lifting weights for 3 to 4 years. I had a pretty good physique. I'm 5'9", like I've said, and I was like 78, 79 kg. I was buffed up. Like, I'm right now 68, 69 kg, so I've fallen down a little bit. But he said to me, you should start running. And I thought, running is pretty boring. Like, the only thing you do is like just run, and maybe with music or without music, but just running. It's not really fun, anything fun about that. But then I realized, okay, you know what, he may be right. So I'm gonna start practicing running. So what I first did is my first one was a 5 kilometer run. So I started to run 5 kilometers. Within that run, I stopped 4 to 5 times because I just could not do it. Like I could not even breathe anymore. I thought that my heart was going to explode within my chest. Like that was crazy. The first 5 kilometer run was something that just I will never forget, right? Why do I say this? I thought that was my capacity. I genuinely thought that I could not run more than 5 kilometers because, to be honest, 5 kilometers back then, like almost a year ago, was something crazy. Like 5,000 meters, like me running without stopping. Like what do I think I am, right? Fast forward to like 6 to 7 months later, and I'm running a half a marathon with an average pace of 4.58 minutes per kilometer, one of the hardest half marathons in the Netherlands, and I finished it within 1 hour and 44 minutes. When back, I used to run 5 kilometers with an average pace of 5.56 minutes per kilometer with like stopping 4 to 5 times on average. I have went beyond my own perceived limits. I have searched my capacity to run more. Once again, why do I say this example? Why do I even give this example? It's because it's fun. It's fun to search for your capacity. It's fun to see how far you can take it. How far you can literally go beyond your own perceived limits. That's what makes life fun. That's of course my opinion. That's the reason why I'm making this video. Everything that I say is my opinion, my experience, the things that I've realized and the things that I've done research for, etc. And I try to teach it on the internet. Is that is what makes it fun. It is the unknown. It is the unknown capacity that you can achieve is what makes it fun. If you knew what you could achieve, you would never have gone the way to achieve that thing because you know what happens. It's boring. It's this predictable patterns of behavior that you're going to do in order to achieve the thing. But what makes it fun is to go directly into the unknown, is to face your fears and go towards your fears, like literally run towards your fears. And then you will realize you had never any fear in the first place. It was just you. You were playing mind games with yourself. That is what makes life fun. That is what like thrives society forward. It's this never ending cycle of pursuit. Is how can we make society better? How can we make this team better? How can I improve my skills? How can I go beyond this level that I'm in? And of course, it's uncomfortable, but that's what makes it fun. You know, my next run was like 10 kilometers. I thought, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm tired of running 5 kilometers and stopping 3 to 4 times. And actually at that point, I could run 5 kilometers in one time. I thought, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to go beyond my limits and I'm going to do a 10-kilometer run. And guess what? I achieved it. It was the hardest run I've ever done in my entire life. But guess what? I still achieved it. Why is that? It's because I went beyond my own perceived limits, and guess what happened? I still achieved it. It was scary. I was so afraid that I would just pass out of nowhere because I had this limiting belief that if I just run more than 5 kilometers, then my heart is going to explode or something. Like I just could not do it psychologically, physically in general. But I ran the 10 kilometers. I was so afraid of it, but then I ran towards the fear. I literally faced my fear. And then once again, I realized that there was no fear in the first place. It was just you playing mind games with yourself. There is no fear. It's just you. That's what reality is all about. But my last point that I want to make in this video before I wrap it up is that life can be way more fun, my friend. Life is way more fun. Of course, coming from my own perspective, coming from the 22 years living on this planet and changing my perspective about things and trying new things and trying to run a half marathon and just going this way, it's not working. I'm going to go that way, it's not working. I'm going to go this way. It's trying so many different things. That is where the joy lies. That is where like the passion lies, because you're in this self-discovery mode. You're in this mode of constant pursuit of more that gives ultimately life meaning. And that's one of the reasons why I resonate with Nietzsche a lot. And he said in one of his quotes, I can misquote this, of course, he said, in the pursuit of going for something that is beyond our like imagination, you can say, that is the life worth living. Of course, I'm misquoting this very much, like very hardly, so don't take like the quote from me, you can say. In general, my friend, I'm gonna wrap this video up, is that this never-ending cycle of pursuit, this never-ending thing that you can always strive towards, is what gives life meaning. It's what gives you, it's just what kind of like takes me out of bed every single morning at like 6 a.m. in the morning. And I thought, man, why the hell am I doing this? Like, why am I even recording a video? Like, for example, like this. I've been recording a video for like what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? I could not even record a video back in the days, even in the English language, which is my third language, 3 years ago. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, sit in front of a camera, talk in the English language, and talk about these subjects that you want to talk about, and with these bullet points, and just bring your message across and do your storytelling. I've still got a lot to learn. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Once again, I can never master this. The only thing I can do is just pursue more. Talk in this fluent manner in the English language once again, and try to bring your message across. I would have frozen. Like, I could not even speak 30 seconds in front of a camera without like fumbling and saying, oh shit, what the hell do I even need to talk about, man? Like, who am I even to talk about these things? Limiting beliefs comes up. But man, am I even qualified to talk about this? Do I need to like do this in order to talk about this? You know what? I'm gonna clean my house in order to talk about this. All of this bullshit procrastination came literally within the 30 seconds of making a video, all in my mind wrapping it up. But right now I'm just talking in front of a camera, very relaxed. Like, when I'm talking in front of a camera, as I've said many times in my videos, there are 0 thoughts in my brain. 0 thoughts. I'm one with the camera. The camera is me. I'm not even talking to a camera. I'm talking to another person on the internet. Hello, guys. But you get my point. It's that this pursuit, I feel like a lot of people just look at it from a negative perspective. Oh, I've got to do more, man. But what do you mean I've got to do more? Yeah, that is where you find more of yourself. If you do more, and of course we have to define what more is, but if you try more things, if you develop more skills, if you go beyond your own surpassed limits, if you go beyond your own perceived limits, and you try new things, you discover new parts of yourself. And in 10 years from now, you've built this self-image of yourself that you know who you are because you've tried so many different things. You've tried so many different things, and this does not work. This does not. Maybe I should walk on that path. And I walked on that path for like a year, but it did not work, so I'm going to walk on this path. That is life experience. That's what makes it fun. That is what genuinely should wake you up in the morning and say, you know what? I ain't got shit, man. But guess what? It is what it is, man. I was born on this planet for a reason. I did not really choose for this life. You can say this life chose me. This life chose me in order to have this earthly human experience. So I'm going to use it to my fullest potential, whether you believe in God or not. If that does not hype you up, if that does not like bring you some perspective on maybe improving your life for the better, then I'm sorry to say it, man, but it's just, I don't know how to, I don't know how to like bring it from a different perspective to you, because hearing this from my perspective, of course, it just wants me to wake up at like 6 a.m. in the morning and just find ways to improve myself. And we can have another discussion, which for another video is, when is improvement enough, right? That's for another discussion. I think that the answer to that question is very silly, because there is no like limit to the improvement that you can make. There's always more to do. There's always more to learn. There's always more things to master. There's always more things to craft, to make out of thin air, always more things to write about, always more things to make videos about, always more things to read, always more things to think about. So it's this limit of reaching it does not exist. It's just all mind-made illusions. But of course, one can come here in front of camera, maybe on the other side, and say, okay, but when is it enough? And that's a discussion for another video. I'm going to make that video soon, where I go hopefully more in depth about when it's enough. But hopefully you guys like this video. If you did, tell me your thoughts in the comments. Like, do you agree with me or not? And I see you guys in another video. Share, subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it a lot. And think about it, man. It's this constant, never-ending pursuit that takes you the motivation to get you out of bed and do something worthwhile with your life. Hopefully you liked it. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye-bye.